Hello everyone, myself Animesh Mondal and I'm your tutor in Linksmind. So now today I'm going to talk you about fractions. What are fractions, and let's just see what are the types of fractions we can see in the slide. Now just let's dive into my screen. What is a fraction? Fraction can be defined as a part of a whole number, or it can be said that it is a ratio between two integers. Okay, so basically a fraction like consists of a two part. Okay, as you can see in the example, there are two parts. One is the numerator and the lower one is the denominator. The upper one is the numerator and the lower one is the denominator. Now let's see what are the types of fractions. First one is proper fraction. The next one is improper fraction, mixed fraction, like fraction, and unlike fractions. Let's just see what are proper fractions. So proper fractions are those fractions whose numerator is smaller than the denominator. As you can see in the example, the numerator is smaller than the denominator. The numerator here is 3 and the denominator is 5. So the denominator is greater and the numerator is smaller. So these kind of fractions, we can say that these are proper fractions. Now, what are improper fractions? Fractions whose numerator is larger than the denominator are known as improper fractions. So here is the example of an improper fraction. As you can see, 9 is the numerator here and 5 is the denominator. So the numerator here is larger than the denominator. Obviously 9 is greater than 5. So we can say these fractions as improper fractions. Now, what is a mixed fraction? A mixed fraction consists of a whole number and a fraction. So what is the whole number here? The whole number here is 2 and the fraction here is 1 by 7. So the numerator is 1 and the denominator is 7 and the whole number is 2. So these kind of fractions, we can say that these are mixed fractions. Now, what are like fraction? Like fractions are those fractions which have same denominator. The numerator here is, as you can see in the first example, the numerator is 1, the denominator is. Irrespective of the numerator, we just have to check that the denominator must be same. That is 1 by 8, 2 by 8 and 3 by 8. All the three fractions have the denominator same 8. So that's why we can say these fractions as like fractions. Now the next one is unlike fraction. So what are unlike fractions? Fractions whose denominators are different, those fractions are known as unlike fractions. It is not mandatory that the numerator should be same, but the numerators can also be different. But the main thing is in unlike fraction, the denominator should be different. Now let's just see how to add like fractions. As you can see in the example, there are two fractions, 5 by 3 and 2 by 3. So here the numerator is 5. The first fraction has numerator 5. The second fraction is denominator is 3. In the second fraction, we can see the numerator is 2 and the denominator is 3. So since the denominators are same, in the resultant side, we just have to put 3 as denominator because these are like fractions. In case of like fraction, while performing addition, we have to put same denominator. Since the denominators are same, so that's why we are putting the resultant denominator as 3. And we just have to perform the addition of the two numerators, that is 5 and 2, that is 7. So the resultant fraction is 7 by 3. So this is how we can add two like fractions. Now, in case of unlike fraction, how we can add, let's just see. Here, the example is 1 by 8 is 1 by 8 is a fraction that the denominator is 8 and the numerator is 1. And 1 by 3 is also a fraction which has a denominator 3 and numerator 1. So now the two denominators are different now. And what we are doing here is we are just multiplying the two denominators, or we are just finding a LCM of the two denominators. So the LCM of the two denominators is 24. That is 3 into 8 is 24. So the resultant denominator is 24. Now what we have to do is we have to check the resultant denominator with the first denominator. The first denominator here is 8. So we can say here is 8 and here is 24. So what we are doing here is we are checking with what number 8 is divisible by 24. So 8 is divisible, 8 into how much is the 24? 8 3 is 24. Now what we are doing is 1 into 3 8 3s are 24, so 1 into 3 is 3. So that's why here it is written. There is missing one step, that is 1 into 3 should be here. So I'm just telling you, just keep in mind that 1 into 3 is 3. That's why 3 is put here. Now in the second fraction, the denominator here is 3 and the resultant denominator is 2. So 3, how much are 24? 3 8s are 24. So if 8 is coming, then 1 into 8 is 8. Then 3 plus 8 is 11 and the resultant denominator is 24. So the denominator is 24 and the numerator is 11. So this is how we can add two unlike fractions. This is the process how we can add two unlike fractions. Now, my next topic is force in science. Now, what is force? Anything, a force can be defined as a push or pull. Okay, so a force can be defined as a push or pull. For example, we are pushing a door, then that is also a force, and while pulling a door, that is also an example of force. In terms of stretch and squeeze also we can denote force. Now let's see what are the effects of forces. Force increases the speed of a moving object. It may also move the stationary object. So how we can increase the speed of a moving object? Obviously, while riding a bicycle, we can increase the speed of a moving cycle by paddling. And also how we can move a stationary object. If a football is placed in the ground and if we kick the ball, then we can move the stationary object by kicking or by applying force. This is how we can increase the speed of the moving object, or we can move a stationary object. Now force can stop the moving object, or it can just decrease the speed of a moving object. How force can stop the moving object? While cycling, if we apply the brakes in the cycle, then it can stop the cycle, or it can stop the moving object. This is how a force can stop the moving object. How it can decrease the speed of a moving object? It can decrease the speed of a moving object by just applying brakes. That while paddling, while cycling, we are applying the brakes. So if we apply the brakes, the speed will automatically decrease. So this is how we can decrease the speed of a moving object. Now the effect of force changes the direction of an object. So if we kick a ball in a different direction, in the right direction, or in the left direction, this is so we can change the direction of the force also. Now the next one is force changes the shape and size of the object. This is all we know, that force changes the shape and size. If we squeeze a ball, a rubber ball, then it will change the size of a moving size of an object. So this is also by applying force we can change the shape and size of an object by squeezing a rubber ball. Now let's just see the types of forces. First one is contact force and the next one is non-contact forces. So what are contact forces? So contact force is a force that is applied by objects in contact with each other. Yes, two objects must be contact with each other, must have contact with each other, and that force is known as contact force. As you can see in the figure, one man is carrying a box, he's pushing a chair and he's pulling a chair. So in this case, the man is in direct contact with the object, that he's touching the object. So this is how contact forces work. Now the next one is non-contact forces. So what are non-contact forces? Non-contact forces are those forces which do not occur due to contact. That means we don't have to, the objects must not have a contact with each other. Okay, they can have attraction or repulsion between two objects. You can see in the example, a magnet is attracting the iron nails, okay, the iron clips. So this is how non-contact forces work. They do not they are not the surfaces are not in contact with each other, but still the force of attraction comes here. So this is how we can define a non-contact force. Thank you. That's all for today. We will see you later. Thank you.